Hey guys, how's it going? It's Amy here, bringing you today's Life Words video in this final week of Old Testament Life Words. This week we are looking at some of the key themes we have seen throughout our studies in the Old Testament. And today I want to have a think about how we have a God who takes the initiative. God who has a plan. God who makes the first step way before we are ready to see what he is doing. God is at work around us. The Old Testament starts, doesn't it, with God speaking a word and the world coming into being. Let there be light. And there was. God creates the world, not because he's lonely, not because he has nothing better to do, but because out of an overflow of his love, everything else comes into being. A God who is relational, a God who wants to have a relationship with every one of us. We saw, didn't we? We know the story well. What was made perfect soon goes wrong because Adam and Eve have a better idea, they think, than God. They do the one thing God tells them not to do, and as a result, sin comes into the world. The relationship between mankind and God is destroyed. But God doesn't just throw mankind away. Instead, right back in Genesis 3, he speaks a word that one day one will come who will restore the relationship. And then throughout the Old Testament, we've seen character after character, and maybe we've wondered, is this the promised one? Is this the one that's going to put the relationship right? And we know that time and time again, either through sin, maybe because of greed or lust or wanting to do things differently to God's way, the Israelites, God's people, have wandered in deserts, have been taken into exile. All their ideas that they thought were for the best have led to nothingness, to heartache, to pain, oppression, injustice. But we've seen time and time again, despite the actions of God's people, God has still had a plan. He's seen people, the potential in people, before they've been ready to see it in themselves. He's told people to do things that didn't seem to make sense, but it joined the next part of the story together. Whether that was Abraham, who had to go to a new land, whether it was Moses, who God told Moses to go to Pharaoh and say, let my people go. And we saw the people delivered from slavery. Whether it was Gideon, remember one of my favourite stories where Gideon's hiding and God turns up in his cellar and is like, hey, mighty warrior. God sees the potential before we're perhaps able to recognise it in ourselves. And throughout the second half of the Old Testament, time and time again, we see God sending his prophets to call God's people back to themselves. Remember even Jonah from last week, sent with a message to repent, turn to God, to know life in all its fullness. In the Old Testament, we've been seeing a God with a plan, a rescue plan for the world, not giving up, but coming time and time again through people to try that people would come back to him, leading ultimately, as we know, to Jesus coming at the start of the New Testament. But God didn't give up. He was the God that took initiative, the God who saw potential in people, the God who loved people that didn't always love him back, a God with a plan, an initiative. That God of the Old Testament is still the God we worship today, a God who has a plan. A rescue plan for your life, for my life, for the whole world, that we might know his hope, his love, his truth. Do you believe it today? Guys, have a think back. Where have you seen God's plan at work in your life? Do you know Jesus, the one who comes to set you free, the one who is life in himself? Check in the rest of this week as we unpack more of the key themes before we unpack them in our Instagram Live at the end of the week. Have a great day, guys. Bye now.